So, I heard you're looking for a go-to source for entertainment.
Wait for it.
Gaming?
Wait for it.
Anime?
Plus Ultra!
Mr. Eric Almighty and Phil the Filipino? Yeah, they've got you covered. And all you gotta do is... wait for it. This is the Wait For It podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Wait For It podcast. I am your co-host, Phil Smith, aka Phil the Filipino. And joining me as always is your other co-host, Mr. Eric Almighty. And Eric, here we are for the July edition, bonus edition of What Did I Miss in its third iteration, and going strong, might I say. And one of the reasons it's been going so strong is because we have been able to invite friends in and hang out with them and talk pop culture, literally everything we wanted What Did I Miss to be. And, you know, it feels like we've finally gotten this formula down because it's been a lot of fun. And today we are back to two guests, as we only had one last month with Ivan. Shout out to him. But we have two guests here this month, returning guests, and names and faces that I think people will recognize and be excited to hear from this month, as are we.
Yeah, and Phil's not telling me these anymore because he doesn't want me to know what the end game is going to be for the episode, which is always Jeopardy. So I think that's going to be very, very fun. And it was very fun to see everybody jump on. So with that being said, this is our most casual episode that we do. We're here to have a lot of fun and to recap the month of July to this point, recording on July 24th. So I'm sure we're going to miss a couple big stories at the end, but we got a lot to talk about. A lot happened. And we'll kick it off first with our first guest. Dylan from Your Friendly Neighborhood Gamers is joining us. You've seen him a couple times on the show and even the series. Dylan, how are you doing? Are you ready to talk about the month of July?
I am. Thank you guys for having me on. It's been a busy month. There have been a lot of things. As I was just kind of like scrolling back through all of the things that happened, like stories on IGN and whatever, just trying to, pick out a few. I was like, wow, there was a lot that kind of happened throughout this month. So, yeah, ready to talk about it.
When we did this at the beginning of the podcast, back in like 2018, we were doing these bad boys weekly, then bi-weekly, and monthly, and somehow still not running out of stories. So love to hear that. Kory from The World is My Burrito, you have joined us just recently on Creator Spotlight, so I'm so excited to see you so soon. How are you doing, and are you ready to talk about some stuff in pop culture?
I am. It's great to be back so quickly because that was something that came up the last time we spoke, was doing one of these, and it's like, yeah, it'd be awesome to do a super casual episode. And then, Phil hits me up like, hey, you want to do this? And it's like, oh yeah, all I have to do is just find some news. And then all of a sudden it's like, holy shit, what news do I pick? What news is out there? Who cares about what it is that I'm looking at or looking for? So yeah, it's good to be here. It was definitely a lot more pressure finding just the right articles for this. So, and glad to be here though. It is super fun.
It is nice that our guests get to see a peek of, like, again, Eric, like what we used to have to do when we're like, there's so much to choose from. And now that we record this a little bit early, and just so you guys know, we're recording this before Deadpool and Wolverine comes out, so who knows what madness that is going to bring over the weekend. So when this episode comes out on the 29th, on Monday the 29th, and we have just missed something, just know it wasn't intentional. So it's nice that they see a little bit of, like, just scrolling through so many tabs like we did back in the day, Eric. I think we mention it every month, but I cannot believe we used to do this even on a monthly basis, which just by ourselves, which is crazy.
Yeah, no, I'm glad we've got this formation, this ultra crew that we've been building up, and having that rotation for guests has been nice. It's just people that we already know. We are here to have a lot of fun, and we're going to do just that. So, Phil, anything you want to kick us off with before I go over the rules of the wheel?
Yes, there is the most important part that is about to come up here that Eric will go over with Kory and Dylan. It's not the stories. It's not even Jeopardy. It is what Eric is in charge of, and we'll get to that here in just a moment. If for some reason this is the first episode you've listened to, I promise we're typically a lot more of a controlled environment. That's not what's going to happen here. We always recommend that you watch at least the end of the episode on our YouTube channel so you can see the questions for Jeopardy and follow along. But you don't necessarily have to. I do add in like sound effects and everything where I can when it comes to the questions. But this is one of the episodes we do recommend you check out on our YouTube page. And if you are new, or if you need a little bit of a refresher and you need to know where to find any of the rest of our content, stick around to the very end. We'll let you know where you can find all of everything you need to know about the Wait For It podcast, as well as Kory and Dylan. So we'll jump into all that at the end of the episode. But Eric, why delay this any longer? Let me, while you explain the rules, let me pull up the important part here. If you're going to take it away.
Yeah, so a friendly reminder for some and brand new information to others. This is going to be how we determine the order of the stories. Yes, could we just say our guests go first or the host go first? We could do that. We're not gonna. Instead, we are going to use the wheel. And how the wheel is going to work, we are going to, on the count of 3, 2, 1, in that same cadence, we're going to say, spin that wheel. The wheel shall spin, somebody shall be selected, and we will do this until the end. Yes, until we are down to one person, we will still spin the wheel, and we will do it in that cadence. So 3, 2, 1, spin that wheel. Are there any questions? Because we are obviously giving the rules for a reason. This is going to get messed up at least 3 out of the 4 times. Just saying.
I feel good. I feel good about it this month.
Feel good. All right. All right. Mutes off, and we're going to do this. We're going to go 3, 2, 1.
Spin
that
wheel. All
right,
right. That's a pretty good start.
That wasn't so bad.
Well, now we can fuck it up 3 more times, you know? So.
Yeah, just so you know, the next 3 are going to be bad, Eric. So you set that up. So.
Yeah.
All
no,
right. Eric is up first. I hate that the stop share is next to leave, because one of these months I am gonna fuck up. Just want to let you know it's gonna happen.
Yeah, just slow down.
Just like how on Facebook the laugh reaction is right next to like the hug reaction. So one day I'm gonna. It's a nightmare of mine that I've had quite often. So. Eric,
you're gonna send somebody some hearts for like a loss of their family.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely what's gonna happen. That is absolutely what's gonna happen. So, Eric, what did we miss in July 2024?
Yeah, I was really in between 2 stories. We do have a section at the end. We'll throw any bonus stories at. So I'll leave one of them for that. The one I'm going to focus on is in regards to Redbox officially shutting down. Thousands of DVD rental kiosks across the U.S. are being closed down. And as Variety reports, Redbox parent company Chicken Soup for the Soul Entertainment changed its bankruptcy case from Chapter 11 to Chapter 7. As a result, Redbox is closing everything down. Obviously, you can blame streaming services, but Redbox had a good run. It was launched in 2002, and the rentals were obviously everywhere. At one point, they were also doing, and maybe still do, I don't know when the last time I've been at a Redbox is, we're doing video games in addition to movies. So when we talked about physical media and film, this is a conversation that's coming up a lot, physical media and how it's kind of dwindling away in favor of streaming. I thought it was a good conversation to bring back. This is also going to be a blockbuster-like moment, in my eyes, for this generation. And of course, Redbox basically eliminated Blockbuster, so the karma. With that being said, Phil, what are your thoughts about this? I know we've had a conversation about physical media before, so I'll give it to you, and then we'll throw it across the way. And just remember, R.I.P. Redbox.
The good times, the good times. Yeah, they stopped doing games a couple of years ago. They phased that out and sold off pretty much all of their inventory. Shout out to back in the day when you can use a Visa gift card because they didn't make you put in a like an address or anything and just keep the movie or game. So not that I ever did that, but other people like did that. Like so like messed up of them to do. I think the rules of engagement or whatever have passed on that. Whatever that's called. I think that's the wrong phrase, but you guys know what I'm talking about.
that is definitely not the law term.
Sure it is.
The
It's
rules
fine.
of engagement?
Not
Why
rules
would
of
that-
engagement. You guys know what I'm talking about.
Statute of limitations.
It's not even close.
It's like I'm going to war with Redbox. Like, so you know what it is?
Phil
I
about to
was
throw
watching-
hands.
I watched Top Gun today, and I was talking. They were mentioning rules of engagement. That's what it was. That's why rules of engagement was on my mind. Anyway, yeah, Redbox. I think I was. It's really interesting that this is happening now because I remember seeing a clip like a few months ago where the Redbox CEO was talking about how Blockbuster nearly put them out of business because they were putting out the Blue Box at the time. I don't know if you guys remember the very short-lived Blockbuster Blue Box, and they were going to make a. I think they were about. Oh, you know what? Maybe that was maybe that might have been Netflix. That Blockbuster almost started doing like a Netflix style thing. So like it all comes full circle with these. And while obviously I think we're all very big supporters of physical media sticking around, as far as like renting, just because it. Oh, okay, not Dylan. Okay, just because. Renting a movie digitally is like it's just so much easier. I'm not gonna like 5 times out of 6 I would end up forgetting that I had the movie and then end up with a copy of a film that I didn't want. I didn't enjoy, and I'm not gonna drive up to the Walmart or the Publix if I didn't need to, especially now. So yeah, definitely an end of an era, and Eric, it will be like this generation's Blockbuster shutting down, but long time coming, doesn't surprise me. I think the thing that we were all surprised about, because I saw Kory and Dylan's face, is did not know the name of the company was Chicken Soup for the Soul. That was the most surprising thing that came out of this story.
Yeah, if I'm correct, that's the current owner of it. So they obviously bought it out. I don't believe that's always been the case, but I don't know. Fact check me. I'm not going to look into it. Dylan, I'm very curious. What is your relationship with Redbox? Was that a service you used to use? How is your view on it now? And just in general, how streaming has kind of taken over and the state of physical media. Feel free to kind of pick any of those items and give us your thoughts about that news of Redbox finally going goodbye.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not shocked by it. I feel like I have seen less and less around. Like there used to be one at like every Walmart, CVS, etc. And I do feel like in more recent years, it's like, oh, the one in front of Walmart's not there anymore, So it seems like they've consolidated some. So I'm not shocked by it. I will shout out when they were liquidating their video games, I was able to pick up like Borderlands 3 and Resident Evil 2 remake and all those for like, I think I spent maybe $60 and picked up like 3 or 4 games. So I don't know if they're doing the same thing, but if there is a Redbox still, maybe go and check and see if they're like selling all their DVDs for like $1, But I'll touch on, I think, mainly just, the physical media versus digital media and just, the convenience of it, kind of like Phil was saying of, especially for a rental, if you're going to pay $5 either way and one of those options, and you're not going to own it, and one of those options doesn't require a trip to somewhere and then returning it, I feel like I know which option is always going to win for me. But also I'm just not huge on physical media at all. There are some things that I own like physically, just for posterity's sake or because I'm like a very big fan of them. But for the most part, most of my like movie collection, most of my game collection is digital. And I was like an early adopter of sort of that digital back on like, as soon as they started selling digital games on the 360, I pretty much stopped buying physical games just because I was like, yeah, I can just buy this and install it and it's always ready to play versus like having to be like, now where's this game? Did I put it back in the right case? Did my brother put it back in the right case? Like digging around trying to find it. It's like, yeah, I'll just the convenience, I guess. And just space wise, like college, like moving from a college dorm to like a small apartment to, whatever. It's like, it's not having a huge shelf of games and movies is kind of nice. It's just a small shelf of like, these are my favorites, So I'm not like surprised, I guess, especially to like how Phil alluded to how easy it was to like how many people took advantage of that system, because I was not a huge user of Redbox, but I definitely ended up with a DVD that didn't have a DVD in it because someone returned it empty. So, like the few times I used it, it was like, well, they don't have a great track record for me. So I'm honestly shocked it didn't happen sooner, because it seemed like they were just bleeding money. So
yeah, can't have anything nice. That's for sure. I will say that it is interesting that it lasted so long. Like, this news was almost surprising to me, because I kind of forgot Redbox is a thing. Like, when I go to like a Publix or a convenience store or something and I see one, I feel like I jump back 10 years, like, at least. So really interesting to kind of see that happen. I know physical media is such an interesting thing. I definitely share Dylan's sentiments, and Phil is like the complete opposite of me. Like, Phil will still go get steel books and go get these like really nice, cool things. But for me, I'll only need them in the moment. And when I don't have it, it's like, well, I wouldn't trade that in for the inconvenience. Like, random story, I wanted, we were putting on The Prince of Egypt. We wanted to watch The Prince of Egypt the other night because the soundtrack's a banger. And you got to rent it. It's not on streaming. Why is that movie not on streaming? That's a huge movie in my opinion. But we happen to have the DVD. But I'm going to be honest, I would have just paid the $4 to rent it on Amazon because I'm lazy and it's convenient. Kory, super curious, what are your thoughts? Like, how do you kind of view that physical versus digital media? And then just circling back around the experience with Redbox and your feelings about it closing.
So first off, I don't believe, at least for like many years now, you don't go to a Redbox. A Redbox just manifests somewhere near you. Because I cannot tell you how many times I've been somewhere.
The
and
room
it's
of
like,
requirement.
Yeah. You just feel like you're being watched, and you look over and there's a Redbox on the side of a CVS, and you're like, holy shit. Yeah, I've never used Redbox. My dad's used it a couple of times, so like I've used it, from a third person perspective. And those results were fine. I do agree with the like physical renting. People always found ways with video games of like copying and printing barcodes on a sheet of paper so that the machine accepted it. And then the next person comes by and they rent, Modern Warfare, and it's just a sheet of paper, which is probably better for their lives. But at least you don't end up with a spare copy of Tom Cruise's The Mummy lying around, and then you just wonder what you did with your life. But so like Redbox, it is a little bit of a bummer, but I kind of understand it. I do fully agree there, where like if you're gonna rent something, like I don't want it either. If I'm not interested in buying it, I'm not interested in buying it. When it comes to a lot of things, I would rather stream. However, I am a very big fan of physical media. Even now, I still buy CDs. I've got plenty of DVDs, plenty of CDs, plenty of physical video games. I waited, I think, like 6 months or maybe longer for the company that made the game Sea of Stars to announce that they were going to release a physical copy. So I ordered that and then waited like another 6 months. And it took me about a year to actually play the game, but I have a physical copy and that can't be taken away. If you pay attention to a lot of current news, like between stuff that I hear from Wolfden, who's very big on video game emulators, and then Skill Up, who talks a lot about video game ownership and even movie ownership. A lot of these like digital things, you don't own them, and you never know when a company is just going to drop something. Earlier, I think this year, people were going nuts because Nintendo was closing their original DS store. So like they have a new service now. Oh, that battery died. But people were kind of going crazy because they had to find a way to offload like all of their games. They had to download everything and then put it onto a hard drive, all these digital games that they had purchased. And that's not an issue when you have the actual physical cartridge. Now, there is something of an ease of storage. And like for me, I'm totally down for ripping something, or, you know, if I already own it, just download it, throw it on a hard drive. If I'm shooting a convention out of town over the weekend, bringing some movies with me. But I like having that physical copy because it can never be taken away from me. And there is something to be said about like the public preserving games, movies, any type of digital content by having it. And I know with me, I'm like, I'll openly admit I'll pirate stuff, but that's usually because it's something I'm interested in buying. So it's like, okay, do I actually care about this? Literally no one has it streaming anywhere. So, okay, I'm just going to download this. I'm interested in it, see if I like it. And if I am, yeah, I buy it. That's why I still have so many movies. You know, I don't even have a 4K player, and I have so much stuff in 4K, Blu-ray, DVD.
I will say, as far as like, you know, it is when it comes to the digital media, it has been very beneficial when it comes to gaming, because I don't want to go out and rent or buy a copy of Crime Boss Rocket City. As much fun as we are having playing the game, I don't want to own it. I just want to go on PlayStation Premium. Or thank God we didn't have to buy Sea of Thieves in a physical copy here. Thank God that didn't happen.
It probably would have came in like a really cool case, like a collector's case, if
like
we
a
did.
ship. We got on a pirate ship.
Yeah, but then we would have just like thrown it out to the sea because it sucks.
$150 for the collector's case. That's a giant treasure chest.
Listen, what's worse, spending $150 for that type of like collector's item, or spending $100 on Back for Blood and playing it twice? Again, mistakes can be made.
You spent $100 on Back for Blood?
Not only did he spend $100, Dylan, he bought the $100 version that came out with 3 days early access when none of us purchased the one with 3 days early access.
So none
of us got that version.
Yeah,
for the early version because we weren't going to pay that.
Then I also bought Modern Warfare 3 at full price at launch, and that's because we had been playing the beta. And guess who doesn't have Modern Warfare 3? Anybody I play with.
Wrong. They all have it if they have Game Pass as of today.
Yeah.
It came out today?
Yep.
Let's go.
Yeah.
All right.
Phil
I'll go
keeps
download
reminding
it now.
me, and I'm not going to play it out of spite. So that's just in the last
fair.
2 years. That's $170
Well, and also,
of digital games in the trade.
And also, because you made the choice, which is totally fine, to pre-order the game on the PlayStation Plus store, where I walked into a GameStop to get a code on a receipt, and then knowing I wasn't going to buy the game, I went in and canceled the pre-order. So that's a choice you made.
And bringing
we
it back
both
to
made decisions.
Bringing it back to Redbox, right? Like I'm not gonna go to a physical location to go do a second transaction. Like I gotta do this, go there, come back home, and then do one more thing and go outside.
There's also, to be fair, there is also a GameStop 5 minutes from me, and Eric would have to drive like a good 20 to 30. So
it could
for
be,
me, it's like
it could be in my neighborhood. It could be in my neighborhood.
Okay, well, never mind. I was trying to like help you out, but never mind if you wouldn't. So
Bring back guys in trench coats. That's what he's saying.
there we go.
Yes. That's exactly
for Modern Warfare 3.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Oh my god. So yeah, that's my story. Redbox and RIP Redbox. You had a good run. Probably a better run than you deserve to have, but you had a great run. All right,
Eric.
Guys, we got the wheel coming back up. We got 3 people left, 3 stories to tell. We're going to do the same cadence, so when you are ready, we're going to go ahead and do it. 3, 2, 1.
Spin that wheel.
Wow, that was really good.
Doing
It'll
good.
sound great
really
in
good.
post.
I
doing good.
Why
hope
don't you
so.
say that to
Everyone's
everybody?
doing good. Oh.
Suck it, Dylan.
I was like watching like Wheel of Fortune and watching it just
Looking at
kick
the
over
pixels.
to bankrupt.
That's the spirit of the wheel.
All right, Kory. What do you got?
Oh,
What did we
man.
miss in July 2024? What'd you come across?
Okay, so super big news, and this is like hot off the press as of what's today? 2 days ago. So IDW Publishing, the comic book company, is partnering with Viz Media to make a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Naruto crossover comic that is releasing, what is it? Yeah, it's going to be 4 issues. And issue number 1 ships November 13th of this year. They've got Caleb Goldner from Sonic the Hedgehog, Henry Presetia from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers for drawing, which that is some really dope art, Raul Angulo for coloring, and Ed Dukeshire is lettering. Yeah, this is what is it? Do you want me to read like the synopsis of this?
Absolutely.
Go
please.
for it.
Okay, let's do it. When teenage reporter April O'Neil has a clandestine meeting with Tsunade, the leader of the Hidden Leaf Village, it garners the attention of Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, and Kakashi. They aren't the only ones who are wondering what the 2 women were discussing, though. The Sinister Foot Clan have their own interest in April's visit, as they think she might hold the valuable information on mutation research being conducted by the scientist Baxter Stockman. With April caught between the forces of the Hidden Leaf Village and the Foot Clan, it can't be long before the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles show up to lend her a hand. So, I'm really happy about this. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, obviously, longtime passion. I was always dressed up as either Michelangelo or Batman as a kid. Watched a lot of the cartoons. Actually, to this day, I've still never read the comics. But I remember going to see TMNT in theaters when that came out, because even as a teenager, I was like, yeah, I'm still going to see this, support it. It's still cool. And while I've kind of fallen off from constantly attending Ninja Turtle stuff, I still love it. The passion's still there. It's one of those, if you're ever in Target or Walmart, I always got to see what the new Ninja Turtle toys look like. I somehow always manage to keep abbreviated of whatever the new style is. And then Naruto, I started watching, I think season 3 was current in Japan. And that's when I started that. I think I got 400 or 500 episodes deep before finally hopping off that ship. So yeah, it's just this like massive childhood like nostalgia dump, and not the crossover that I think anyone would have expected. Ninja Turtles, we got Usagi Yojimbo, but that was like Stan Sakai was already American. Usagi Yojimbo, it was already like an American established thing. So yeah, getting a manga comic and manga crossover is absolutely wild. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think? Because I know some of y'all are new to anime, manga, and I hope not many of you are new to the Turtles, though.
Yeah, I mean, not expected, but welcome. Like, Naruto and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles feels like a perfect pairing. Phil, obviously, we talked about TMNT, and while we are very familiar with it, it wasn't like a core. I think we were both more Power Rangers kids, right? But there's so much Turtle stuff coming out. Like, they're doing not only a sequel to Mutant Mayhem, but the cast is also doing the voice work for the show, Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Then there's also The Last Ronin, which is coming out potentially in a movie, potentially in a game, and now this. So, like, what's your thoughts, Phil, about that? Because I feel like there's so much interesting adult-related Turtles content that we might end up getting into one of these and finding a real liking to it.
Yeah, it really feels like the next thing we are just inevitably going to step into is comics, because with manga, I finally started my journey as well. And the other thing, it's funny you mentioned Power Rangers, and Kory, you probably came across this in your research too. Power Rangers and Godzilla, baby. That's they're releasing that pretty soon, and I think I'm definitely gonna dive into that. But yeah, it's strange with TMNT because it has like all those elements that I should enjoy. But like you said, Power Rangers was always that thing I got to first, so that has always been when it comes to that style, and when it comes to like 90s nostalgia, that is my thing. But yeah, Last Ronin, every time I walk by that graphic novel in Target, man, I'm like, this looks really tempting to go back to the physical media thing. I'm like, oh man, it'd be nice to own that and finally check it out. So it's great that some of these franchises that are so nostalgic to us are not only in such a healthy spot for nostalgic purposes, but they're also re-releasing in new iterations for new people to find. Like we were just kind of offhandedly talking about it, and this is obviously much lighter subject matter, but the new Fairly Odd Parents is getting really good reviews, and like a brand new wave of kids are getting to watch that show, and I've heard it's very good. So the fact that they found this balance for these IPs of nostalgia and bringing in new fans, it's great. So you definitely want to see more of that. Dylan, what do you think? Were you a TMNT guy or even Naruto? Either or?
Neither. I am pumped for the people that enjoy both of those. I'm excited for them because I think that's super cool. I don't know how I missed Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles because I was like right at the right time for all of that. I don't know if I was just watching like Batman and Justice League and stuff on a different channel or what, but yeah, Power Rangers too, but yeah, I did not. The only like touch point I have from my childhood for like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was that one where like it was like people in like a puppet rubber suit thing. I don't remember which turtles that was, but that was my main touch point there. And then I know Naruto is big, and I was like, yeah, maybe I should start it as you were talking about it. And then you said 400 or 500 episodes before you hopped off. And I was like, nope, I'm never going to start that ever. So
it's going to be Eric with One Piece one day.
Yeah.
Never. I'm going to finish it.
I was going to say, maybe when they do the live action version of Naruto that condenses the first 300 episodes down into like 10 episodes, maybe, but yeah, so I like I said, I think it's super cool. I think, the clips I've seen of Naruto look really like interesting. And then obviously the turtles are just cool. I just have not personally engaged with either property a whole lot, but I'm excited for everybody who gets to have both of those crossovers, because a fun crossover, like Phil, like you mentioned, like Power Rangers and Godzilla, like if it's your stuff, it's like, yes, I'm pumped, I'm excited for this, so I'm happy for you, Kory.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Yeah, no, IDW is really doing the Lord's work with all their content, because when I saw the Power Rangers Godzilla covers, I was like, yeah, that makes sense, because IDW publishes both of those, and from the stuff that I've read, and then also from what I've heard through Shortbox, like pretty much everything they put out has been a banger, because they've done the Flintstones, I want to say it was, which is supposed to be like not necessarily not for children, but it covers a lot more adult topics than you would expect. But yeah, so IDW's just, doing a bang up job with a couple of crossovers now. And like I said, this just felt like it was way out of left field. Like it just extremely unexpected, because Naruto's not theirs. So it's cool that they're actually getting this dope partnership in. But hope some of the listeners enjoy it as well.
Eric, it's like seeing all these TNA superstars popping up in NXT. Like crossovers are in a healthy spot right now. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you don't even have to really like Naruto to know it's probably going to be pretty cool to see some of those characters go up against the Foot Clan and Shredder. Like, come on now. It's just like a match made in heaven. I think those crossovers are super, super fun. And Phil, I mean, I've talked to Phil about this. That's something that they need to do more of in film. Phil, we're getting that Transformers G.I. Joe crossover that we've wanted so much.
Who's we?
We've wanted it so much, and that eventually we'll get the Fast and Furious and Jurassic Park crossover.
Stop. Nope.
No?
Nope.
Okay.
Don't want that.
Go faster, go faster, go faster.
And then you see Vin Diesel, you see Owen Grady flip up the button and hit the NOS. Oh God, it's all right. It's writing itself.
Wild.
Oh no.
Well, that was Dominion. We've already had that movie.
That's
Jurassic
Dominion.
World
That's right.
3. That's Dominion.
Yeah,
That's right. That already
I don't
happened.
think Vin Diesel could write a worse script than let's focus on crickets or whatever the fuck that bug was. Locusts.
Oh, yeah. I was so confused for a second. I was like, what are you talking about?
Crickets?
Yeah, no,
I don't know.
it's,
Locusts.
Locust. Yeah, whatever.
Back to the Prince of Egypt. I should have known that. All right. Let's jump into our next story. And what will that story be? Well, first we have to determine who is going to do it. And that's why we have the wheel. So without further ado, I know you guys have been waiting all episode for this for a third time. 3, 2, 1. Spin that wheel. Honestly, this is the first time I can confidently say we might have hit 3 for 3. This is, I don't want to jinx the last one.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
All right. Let's very carefully hit the stop button and not leave.
Please.
All right, perfect. All right, Dylan, what did we miss in July 2024?
So I come from a gaming podcast, and so the one that I like, the big news that we've seen has been sort of the Xbox Game Pass price increase. So I don't know if you guys are, well, I know Phil and Eric, I think you guys do Game Pass, but essentially they are bumping up the subs, I think, from $17 to $20 for Game Pass Ultimate. So not like a huge price increase, but it is getting pretty expensive. I think 20 comes in slightly more expensive than like some of the lower tiers of PS Plus. So like it is no longer like a better deal and cheaper than PS Plus. And so they were doing that. They introduced like a new tier, Game Pass Standard, that's $15 a month. And the big thing with that is it doesn't include the day one like releases. So that was kind of Game Pass's big selling point for a while there, was like, hey, every Microsoft game that comes out, which now includes Activision Blizzard, which now includes Bethesda, those were also going to be available day one for the release. And so it doesn't include that anymore. It doesn't include the EA Play games. It doesn't include PC Game Pass or cloud gaming either. So that just is coming with Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. So, I mean, clearly they're trying to make a big push towards like getting everybody, like, they've made it very clear with their pricing and with the things that they're offering. It's like, we just want you to go ahead and have Game Pass Ultimate. But the way that they did it was kind of shitty. Like I am on our show a big Xbox fan. I play it up for, the fun of it. But I also do have to call them out when when they do some kind of anti-consumer stuff, which sucks. The big thing that the sketchiest part of it was that the price change is going into effect, I think, at the end of like September, mid-September. And so the new Call of Duty game that everybody was excited for comes out in October. And so that's basically, it's like, yep, there are a bunch of people who will probably upgrade to Game Pass Ultimate because they want to play Call of Duty. The games will eventually come to like standard Game Pass. Like all Microsoft stuff will be on there eventually. It just is like, when will that be? Will it be 2 weeks after? Will it be a month after? Will it be a year after? We don't know. They haven't really said. And so I think it's interesting, just kind of the business side of, what they're doing. It's been kind of a running joke on our show and, just people in general of like Xbox Game Pass, the best deal in gaming. And I feel like we're getting really close to the line where it isn't anymore. It isn't the best. Like $20 a month, I think, is about as much as I can willingly allow myself to pay, and still be like, yes, this is still a good deal. If it goes much higher than that, it's like, no. Like it's, like right now, as long as you're playing 3 new games, $70 price tags on them, it pays for itself, because like you just get those 3 new games and you have this massive library. But if they keep jacking the price up, if they keep taking away features that used to be standard, it's like, well, this isn't really a great deal anymore. And the way that I've always kind of seen their strategy has been, hey, we don't care that Eric and Phil are PlayStation people. They can either buy a cheap Xbox Series S, or even now, just get an Amazon Fire Stick and a controller and subscribe to Game Pass and just stream the game, and so they were, always just kind of targeting like, yeah, we don't care if we're your primary thing or you just have a subscription for all the games. But if they keep jacking the price up, if they keep kind of getting bad press because they do sort of shady anti-consumer things, that's not going to work out for them either, I don't think. So, but I don't know. What do you guys think about the price increase? I think the FTC has pushed back against it after they did a horrible job of defending consumers in court. The Amazon Fire Stick, even, any of those things. I'll toss all of that out to you guys.
Yeah, that's really interesting, just because I do believe Microsoft responded to the FTC saying that it's actually a good deal because the cheapest tier includes multiplayer now. Which, again, I think I don't mind the price increase as much as I don't like the delivery of it all and the timing, to your point with the Call of Duty release. If you just want to increase it, you just tell us that. Like, you don't really... Netflix does it constantly. Netflix, we're expanding our catalog and our library, and we need to make up for new subscribers. Here we go. Price increase will go down. Our stock will go down for a couple days afterwards, and then it'll be right back where it is, or we'll keep doing what we're doing. So Microsoft's just such a big company for them to kind of be playing around like that. Phil, it's super interesting because we are also big advocates of the best deal in gaming, but an argument can be made at no point in time has it actually been the best deal in gaming for us, because we don't actively play on it. Even though my queue, like my next up queue, is full of games I want to play, I'm just not having the time, can't do it, or I just forget. Honestly, I genuinely forget my Xbox is off here sometimes. So Phil, what are your thoughts about it? Because this is eye opening for me. Maybe we should stop saying it.
Yeah, it's a real bummer because of a lot of the things that Dylan just lined out, but because. Yeah, the ongoing joke, best deal in gaming, but when's the last time we really used it a lot other than Sea of Thieves, and that wasn't a good experience. Like, we wanted to play... Oh, yeah, Pal World we played quite a bit in the beginning of the year, but that had a shelf life of about a month, and, never touched that again. I've always wanted to play the game that's kind of similar to... what's the party game where you're all animals, and it's like it was very similar to the one that we used to play on PlayStation.
Yeah, I forgot what it's called, but you mentioned wanting to do that like several times, and it never happened.
And we just never jumped on it. And now a few of our friends do have gaming PCs, so they can access Game Pass. But PC Game Pass is a little bit different than regular Game Pass, which I learned when I signed up for it. So. I certainly want to play Black Ops, was very excited for that. I'll probably keep it around until then, but to what you're saying, Eric, if it continues to not really give me value, then I have to roll back on it. I mean, you just mentioned Netflix. HBO Max just went up in price for the hell of it. And I use that a lot, and I use that way more than I use Game Pass, So it went from, because my daughter uses my Series S so much, it went from, man, I got to buy another Xbox, to, no, I don't need to do that anymore, or I'll go the Amazon, the Prime route, or the Fire Stick route. So it's a real bummer. I'll probably check out, me and Jordan will probably play Modern Warfare 3 like 5 times and be like, all right, we got our fix, because we've cycled through these games, right? It was X Defiant, and then it's Valorant, which we're still playing, but we're just looking for that tried and true team deathmatch domination gameplay. We'll get our fix, then we'll stop playing it, and then we'll go back to College Football 25, and maybe in 6 months we'll still be playing Crime Boss, which, by the way, we got on PlayStation Premium. you know, because that game is on there, and a game we would never purchase, and just threw it on there. So honestly, premium, like PlayStation Premium, like gets a lot of shit, but it has had put out like some games we have poured some time into as of late. So it's a real bummer. Like you said, Eric, the way to do this would have just been to do it and move on. But here we are. So
yeah,
I haven't even really looked at the Game Pass library in a little bit, so I don't even know what's on there that I've missed that has been released recently.
Yeah. Well, and like from the beginning of the year to like Hellblade, they didn't really have a whole lot of big stuff coming out, and then from Hellblade to Call of Duty, they really didn't have anything coming out. So it's like, if you would increase the price any other time, it wouldn't have felt like such a slap in the face, but because you're doing it right before Call of Duty, it's like, yeah, that's shitty. So,
and Hellblade underperformed. So
on
I
top
think
of
it performed
everything.
exactly like everybody expected it to.
That's
a niche
true.
game.
They wanted it to be
More.
you know, this
Yeah,
thing, and
it would have
ended up
been
being-
great if it got like
Yeah.
90s, 100s on
Right.
critical reviews and like did really well. But yeah, I think it performed exactly like I expected it to, personally.
Yeah, in the future too, I think maybe this will be looked back on as a great deal or a great, it's still a good deal for the money. But when some people are also like me and Phil we're paying for PlayStation like premium and stuff. So not everyone's going to be able to do both. And arguably, PlayStation has a comparable lineup, I think. So it's definitely a conversation worth having. Kory, really curious if in the gaming sphere that is something you partake in, which is those kind of like subscriptions to get that catalog of games. And if not, what are your thoughts about just price hikes in general when it comes to some of these streaming platforms, both in film and especially in gaming, for this conversation?
So the only thing that I'm currently a part of as far as gaming subscription goes is the Nintendo one, because it's a double-edged sword, because it's access to a lot of games that they just won't release like ever again, and that is one of the most common points that like Wolfden makes is, for the love of God, just release these games. Like, to this day, they have never re-released a single Pokemon game. Like, do you know how much money would go into like a new, like, you don't have to remake it, but just make Pokemon Red and Blue available on a modern system. People would go nuts for it. So, like, I have that because it is kind of fun to, go in and fart around on some of the old NES, SNES games. They've opened up some like DS and N64 titles. But when it comes down to it, and kind of to, I know this isn't your persistent experience, but to a point that you've already kind of made, is you're paying a monthly fee for like subpar games or games that you're not really enjoying. And for $240 a year, which Dylan, you made the point of like, you can buy 3 brand new $70 games, and it's like, here I am, I still haven't beaten Horizon 2, which released how many years ago? Like, it took me a while to beat The Witcher 3, and honestly, when I'm playing Horizon 2 and a lot of other games, it's like the Wolverine in bed thing, where it's like I'm playing these other games, but I'm thinking about The Witcher 3, just doing another replay of that. But yeah, there are like so many games that, are you going to get the value out of it? I know when I was in my early 20s and like all my money was going to rent and food, like I'll tell people, like, Modern Warfare was a lifesaver because I paid $30-$40 for a game. My brother already had the console that he wasn't really using, and so for the price of $30-$40, I had like hundreds of hours of entertainment. And while it wouldn't go, it's not a franchise that I really care about anymore, but it's like I appreciate that moment in life. Probably the only recent time sink I've had was Diablo 4, and I basically soloed that. I could never really get anyone to, either on anyone else's schedule, so I was like, screw it, I'll play during the day. $70 again, I think, right there. I probably got over 100 hours in it. So for me, a lot of it is like, yeah, you're paying extra money, but are you actually utilizing what's there? If you're on a gaming podcast, which, you know, the three of you, it's generally better to be a little bit more relevant. But I know honestly, if not for the podcast, like, would you guys even, you know, partake in that? And on the price hike thing, that's always a bitter topic. Max increasing their price. I mean, you know, you got to make more room for the Monsterverse. They just threw Godzilla x Kong on there. It costs extra money.
Yep.
But I went through their animated movies the other day because I was feeling animated, and like all 12 movies that they have on there, and it's like, this is kind of sad. Like I've got my $12 Crunchyroll subscription, which is like one of my favorite subscriptions because they cater to what I want, and I will never finish everything that they have. Like the original Dragon Ball, I think, is 150 something episodes. That's just Dragon Ball, let alone Z and Super. So that trek is going to take a long time to get through. And then Shonen Jump, $3 a month for all of that. And it's great. And I go in it like once a month and then catch up, you know, probably once a quarter, so that I get chunks at a time of series that I'm interested in. Like that stuff is fine, and it feels reasonable for what they have. I'm not keeping up with current anime, so paying whatever $14 a month for Shonen Jump or for Crunchyroll makes sense to me, because I mostly spend my time watching 80s and 90s anime, some of which even now may still not be available in America, or at least not very readily available. But for a lot of the gaming stuff, I did PlayStation for a while, and I could not name a single game that I got from the Game Pass. I basically just got it to play Fall Guys with people for like 6 months, and then no one ever played it again.
Yeah, that's such an interesting take, Kory, because Phil, I don't know. And first off, for Crunchyroll, that's the next thing, by the way. When that price hike happens, my heart is going to hurt. Shonen Jump, great deal. But, you know, with these gaming subscriptions, they just seem to continue to want to go up, and that's just going to be the competition of the market. Phil, Kory mentioned, like, would we, and Your Friendly Neighborhood Gamers is a full-on gaming podcast. So we don't hold a candle to them. But for us, Phil, Pal World was our February episode this year. Just looking at this year, Game Pass, wouldn't have played that if it wasn't on Game Pass. We then played Fallout 76, while not on Game Pass, that was on PlayStation, and it was because we had the subscription. We would not have paid for that game. That was our May episode. And then our last two episodes, Another Crab's Treasure, we played on Game Pass, would not have purchased that. Sea of Thieves, would not have purchased that, even though we made a friend purchase it to play it. That was feel bad.
She made a choice.
She did.
She made a choice. She has Game Pass.
Nope.
She could have gotten it on PC.
I understand. So all that to say, like, out of the 7 episodes of the Game Room Where It Happens that we've had, over half of those have come from subscription-based games that, had we not had those subscriptions, we likely would not have played. So I feel like that's like a double-edged sword that's really interesting. Dylan, I'm going to kind of just pose that question to you. Like, how much does that impact your gaming podcast from a content standpoint? Like, is there still enough value there, or are you guys just kind of doing it because sometimes?
I mean, I can't speak for Andrew, but for myself, definitely it's, you know, the value's there. Now, I do think, you know, to your point, I think the argument is always there of like, well, if you wouldn't purchase this game, then are you really getting value? You know, like, is it really, you know, it's like, oh, okay, well, if I wouldn't watch, you know, Star Wars Acolyte or whatever, then like, is it worth paying for the, like, if it wasn't on a subscription, is it worth paying for the subscription to watch it or something like that? But you know, it is for us anyway, a gaming podcast that likes to talk about video games. We release weekly episodes where we're talking about video games. So, we play a decent amount of them. It, is probably our main hobby. It is worth it to us. Like I said, we can look at it and it's like, it's easier to think back to like last year where it was like, we got Lies of P, we got a few other games that came to Game Pass that we probably wouldn't have picked up, like Remnant 2, those kind of things where it was like, yeah, we probably would have waited for a sale or, picked that up 2-3 years down the line. But because it was on Game Pass day one, we got to play it, Lies of P day one, a game that we were both kind of looking forward to. We didn't end up having to spend money on it. So for us, it's worth it. But like I said, I always kind of try to frame it in that way of like, is it worth it for the average person who's playing video games? Like if you are a PlayStation gamer primarily, and that's where you're putting your time, or a PC gamer, and that's where you're putting your time, that's where you're putting like playing those games, is it worth it to also have the Xbox Game Pass subscription? I don't know, because if you're not playing 2.5, 3 full games plus maybe a couple of others just to really get that value, I don't know if it really is that worth it, because then I think that argument of, well, maybe I just pick up the 2 games I'm actually interested in and pay for those full price, and I end up saving a few bucks, but like, just looking ahead, we've got the new Black Ops, we've got, or whatever it is, Cold War, Call of Duty, we've got Avowed supposedly coming up still,
allegedly.
I think there's off the top of my head, I can't really remember, but Flintlock Siege of Dawn just came out. The old Modern Warfare 3 just came out, a game I wouldn't have picked up. So, I mean, there's enough there for me that I'm getting my value out of it. But like I said, if this isn't your primary place you're playing, or you find yourself not getting enough now, especially now that it's $20 a month, it's kind of like, yeah, I can see, just paying for the 2 or 3 games you're going to play out of pocket, and letting the subscription lapse. Now, there's also the multiplayer. You got to pay for multiplayer part of it, which sucks. But I
feel like that's the biggest sin in like modern gaming.
Yeah, that's on PlayStation as well. I was trying to play something. I was playing Bloodborne on PlayStation the other day, and I don't pay for PS Plus anymore because I wasn't using it. That is a subscription I let lapse because I wasn't doing enough with it. And I went to try to like put in a code to run a dungeon and get a weapon that I normally wouldn't have access to, and found out very quickly like, oh, that's apparently a multiplayer feature that's locked behind that. I can't do that anymore. And so I was like, I forgot that we live in this world where PC gaming, it's free, but for some reason the console makers don't want to do it. But yeah. Nintendo's is the only one that I will never let lapse because it is $20 a month, or not $20 a month, $20 a year. So even though I rarely, if ever, would say that I get my value out of that one, I'm willing to pay $20 a year to not get value out of it. So
it was the only, and I don't have my Switch anymore, but it was the only time I got a renewal notice via email. I was like, oh, okay, well, that's fine. Every time I'm like, damn it. There goes $25.
Yep.
Yes, I needed that $25. But, and to Kory's point about Nintendo, like, I would still have my Switch if you just let me buy Pokemon Yellow or Gold or Silver on my Switch. But I don't. I never use it anymore, and I sold it. I got rid of it.
Phil,
because I just wasn't using it.
When you got your PC, one of the first things you showed me on it was the old Pokemon game.
Emulated the shit out of every Pokemon game that I ever wanted to play, and I'll just sit here and watch whatever and play Pokemon. And I get to use an Xbox controller to play Pokemon. Are you kidding me? What do you mean? No way, Nintendo. Come on, get it together.
Possibly the best. Was once the best controller in gaming? I don't know.
No,
That's a
okay,
conversation
so
now.
I will say I have been told by a multitude of people to buy an Xbox controller, because on my laptop, I can hook up my Joy-Cons, I can hook up the PS4, and I kind of feel like I don't necessarily dig the PS4. And then one of my brothers said that he's been using an Xbox controller for like 9 months. This coming from a guy who used the PS5 controller, I think when it released, that was his primary thing. And like the day he picked up one of the new Xbox controllers, he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm done with the PS5 controller." So yeah, apparently, hey, Xbox makes a stellar controller. I've heard a lot of positive stuff about their Elite controllers as well, for those who want the whack sensitivity adjustments.
Do you have an Elite controller, Dylan?
No, I will die before I pay $150 for a controller. So,
Okay.
But think of the colors! The colors!
It's good to know we all have limits, but I'll acknowledge that, Eric, that I think, and it's crazy about the PS5 controller. I love that controller. The PS4 one and I hated the PS3 one. PS4, I was like, okay, this is a little better, but there's a conversation I feel like to be had between the Xbox and the PS5 controller. Yeah. I know, because I love that controller.
Wait till Astrobot comes out, dude. Wait till Astrobot comes. They have not unlocked the full potential of that play. If
Astrobot,
anything,
by the way, is Eric's favorite game of all time.
It's
Suddenly,
already
just so you guys
game
know.
of the year. But I will tell you this: I really do think that the PlayStation 5 remote doesn't come in the conversation because I don't think it's reached its potential. But I think you're right.
Because that bitch dies in half an hour. You know how many times in one college football session I had to change out my controller? Thank God I have 4.
Oh.
Thank God I have 4 controllers.
I've been playing college football so much that happened. That's never happened to me since I've owned my PlayStation. I was so alarmed. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. It's got me wanting to place my charging port somewhere else so I don't have to walk across the room to go swap controllers.
Though there was only some kind of way to just keep power constantly running to the controller. I know that's wild.
I have a USB-C to charge my phone right next to me, but no, I don't like it. The cable's across my leg and it's touching my leg. I don't want it.
I have definitely done that when I forgot. I've only got 2 PS4 controllers because they last 6 months at a time. And there was one time where I just let one die, swapped it out, totally forgot to charge the previous one, and then was running around the house grabbing my extension cords and dongles and stuff, and then plugged it in and just had it running underneath the couch. And it's good old days, whatever.
Hey, it's okay. You had to do what you had to do back then, but yeah, great story there. Dylan obviously brought up a lot of good conversations. So, Eric,
yes,
we got one more go round.
Yeah.
Even though logic says
be
we
anyone.
shouldn't have to do this anymore, but
yeah, logic says we don't have to.
We don't run logically here.
I say we don't have to. Yeah,
it's red versus blue, baby.
Yep.
We'll see which version of Phil we're gonna get. We're gonna count down, and we're gonna aim for 4 out of 4. But it's been a good run so far, nonetheless. So we're gonna go. We're gonna do 3, 2, 1. Spin. That wheel. All right, that wasn't too bad.
I feel like Kory was a little slow in the jump.
That's okay.
On the
That's okay.
on the trigger.
That's okay. All right.
Blue
Phil.
pill. All right. There we go. All right, perfect. We got to me here last, and this is a story I did post in our Discord page, and it's pretty fitting that you're here, Dylan, because you'll have a affinity for this series as well. The real series, not this one that was canceled, which is Halo, which was finally canceled after 2 seasons at Paramount Plus. The big budget series based on the popular Xbox video game franchise aired 2 seasons at the streaming service. The show originally debuted in 2022, while the second season aired between February and March of 2024. Paramount Plus can confirm that Halo will not move forward with a 3rd season on the service. The streamer said in a statement, "We are extremely proud of this ambitious series and would like to thank our partners at Xbox, 343 Industries, and Amblin Television, along with showrunner and executive producer David Weiner, his fellow executive producers, the entire cast led by Pablo Schreiber as Master Chief, and the amazing crew for all their outstanding work. We wish everybody the best going forward. This didn't come as a surprise to, I think, a lot of us. I'm interested as we go through the panel if anybody actually watched this show. I certainly did not, especially after hearing some of the reviews from season 1. And it is pretty heartbreaking. You know, Halo has will always hold a very special place in my heart. Eric, it was the whole core of our online multiplayer journey started with Halo 3, and, you know, still doing it today with other games. So to go from, at one point, a movie that could have been directed by Peter Jackson and produced by Steven Spielberg to where we are now, to getting Master Chief's ass on Paramount Plus, like plastered all over social media and our screens, to these weird subplots. It's just really upsetting. So, again, Dylan, you kind of gave it away there in your reaction. Sounds like you never gave this a shot, as I think most of us never did. But just talk about, you know, your reaction to this being canceled. Are you surprised? Did you ever think it had a shot? And also just maybe talk about your relationship with Halo in general.
Yeah. I've been playing Halo since Halo 1, Halo Combat Evolved, as a kid. Like, me and my buddy, like, we'd go to his room, hook up his Xbox, play Halo all day. You know, like, that was what we were doing as kids. So, I am not shocked that this show didn't do well, because they tried to make it about the Master Chief, which was never going to work. Like, the Halo universe is a really cool universe, but trying to adapt the Spartans, or particularly like Master Chief's story and like the stories of like the Fall of Reach and Halo and that sort of thing, it's kind of like, yeah, like doing that with like focusing on the Master Chief is tough. Like it would be, I think, a much more compelling story to tell if they did kind of like Andor, I guess, is maybe a good example, where instead of focusing on like Jedi and that sort of thing, it was kind of just like, hey, this is like a very cool, solid story, even if it wasn't Star Wars, but then it is a Star Wars story as well. And I think if they had taken that route, where it's like, this is just in the world of Halo, like we're adapting all of the pre-existing lore, we're, you know, taking inspirations from it, but we're going to tell our own story that just happens to be existing, and, you know, follow some Marines or something. I think that would have gone over better than, because everyone's got their expectations for like what the Master Chief is going to do and how it's going to do, or how they're going to adapt those things, especially because it's been talked about, like you said, as far back as like Neil Blomkamp and Peter Jackson and all of them. I think the other thing that hurt it was it's on Paramount, which is like at best a third tier like streaming service. Like, you've got your like Netflix, Hulu, HBO, and then like you drop down to like some of the
Peacock,
some of the more niche ones, and then you've got like Amazon and like Paramount, Apple TV, you know, some of the ones where it's
hold on now.
I mean, at least that's how I think.
We'll talk about it later.
I mean,
yeah,
I think Apple TV is good. I think there's good stuff on all of these streaming services. It's just like the subscriber base gets smaller and smaller the further down you go, and also some Paramount don't do a great job about advertising what's on there, and so I don't know. I think that hurt it as well, just because it's like, I'm not going to pay for like 15 goddamn streaming services just so that I can watch everything. You know, like, I'm going to pay for HBO, and I'm going to like share that around so that I can get a Hulu subscription and Disney Plus subscription, and you know, like, you work out your deals, and they're, you know, trying to put a stop to that too. But all of that to say, I'm not shocked. I had heard good things about season 2. It was on my list of like, eventually, when I remember when I don't find something on Netflix and HBO and Hulu and Amazon and Apple TV and whatever, and I eventually work my way down to Paramount, maybe I'll watch this. But I'm not shocked, because I'm sure it cost a lot of money, and I highly doubt they were getting the viewership they wanted, and I don't think it was like, no, like, I have a gaming podcast. Gamers, capital G gamers, TM, suck. They're not going to come subscribe to Paramount Plus to watch a video game TV show about the Master Chief. They're going to pirate it and then talk shit online. They're not going to subscribe. So, I don't know. That's my take, though.
Yeah, and Kory, we just talked about signing up for all these subscription services, and Paramount Plus, and Eric, you know this, seems like the one that's tacked on to something else. Eric gets Paramount Plus, I think, with Uber Eats or something like that.
No,
or,
that's actually Peacock. I get Peacock with Instacart.
Okay, I get Paramount Plus with my Walmart Plus subscription, so I don't even I've never signed up for Paramount Plus. Even like back in the day when I had a third podcast, shout out to All Here It Goes and my other buddy Eric, we used Paramount Plus a lot to watch like old Nickelodeon shows, because they have a big library there. But even then, I think only one of us was paying for it. So yeah, Kory, we have entered a age where the video game adaptation has turned a corner. We have The Last of Us. We have, and Dylan, your idea as far as following a different group, like a Marines group or something, that's literally what Fallout 76 did. They brought us to a new vault. They brought in original characters, and it's incredible. So, Kory, in this age where we've turned the corner and now these video game adaptations are much better, the production quality is there, the storytelling is there, are you surprised to hear this news? And did you ever check out the Halo show?
No, I never checked out the Halo show. I kind of forgot that it existed. I know it's funny that this is the topic that comes up, because I was watching the Skill Up recap, This Week in Gaming, and he mentioned that it got canceled, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot it even started. And here it is, it's done. And like the stills that he showed looked great. It looked like whoever they had on costume design was like, top notch. But yeah, you mentioned Last of Us, and then it seems like the issue, Dylan, which you brought up with this, you have to pick, like, are you going to follow the characters that everyone knows, or are you going to do something to the side? Witcher 3 did well. I want to say it's like the first 3 seasons were well, and it's the 4th one that's badly received, or maybe the 3rd one. I don't remember how many they're on now. But that's one of those where it's like you can't really do any wrong, because it's based on books, and the games don't follow the books. They're all just like vignettes of Geralt's story, so pick something. Throw it at a wall, it's gonna stick. Just pick a bunch of random stories. You can't really go wrong. You don't have to stay strictly to something. But then if you're gonna bust out Halo, we have the entire story already. I'm not one of the, I didn't play Halo growing up. I was always an Unreal Tournament person before Halo came out. I remember my first comment ever when Halo came out, friends at a friend's house. And I'm like, what the hell is that thing in the top corner? And he's like, oh, that's the mini map. And I was like, what does it do? He's like, it shows you where the enemies are. I'm like, why do you need that? Like, you should just be on your game. But yeah, so it's one of those that a lot of people are passionate about. I've heard so much of the Halo story through so many people. It is one of those games that was magical for so many people. Oh my God, so many people. And yeah, like, you're going to come in and you're just going to take the main character and try to do something different for a linear, spelled out story. And I agree, that's one of those where they should have done the Fallout thing and just do something to the side. There's an entire universe. Like my constant complaint with Star Wars is like, why do the Skywalkers always have to be involved? They are one family. They are unimportant. Like, how does it always come back to them? Just, tell stories that don't somehow attach themselves to characters that we've already met. This is literally space. So yeah, like Halo, I hope that something good comes from this. Like I said, for like the costumes and stuff, I hope that someone picks out another video game or something else, and is able to just take the quality that was there and put it into something that has a little bit more TLC behind the story and, the screenwriting and stuff.
And yeah, Eric, to throw it to you, this is a show that I'm sure we discussed on previous iterations of What Did I Miss as something that was, at one point it was in production and then it was about to come out and then it is out and it's terrible and never was going to at any point find its way onto like late to the party, where we were never going to talk about this on social media or anything, and now it's gone. And you know what? We're going to forget that it existed within the next few months, if not sooner.
Yeah, the Paramount Plus stigma is real. I definitely I thought less of the show, honestly, just without even knowing much about it. I also everything with Master Chief, the big thing is that, he removes his helmet. He's like an actual character. Like, that was such a big backlash or blowout in season 1, apparently. I do remember that. Very reminiscent of what's going on right now with like the Acolyte, talking about Star Wars, Kory mentioning that. Like, some people don't like that original route. And to Dylan's point, they're not even going to go subscribe and actually watch the show. They'll see clips or they'll pirate it, make an opinion, and shit on it. For me, Halo just never worked as a concept for a television show for me. Even the games are not that interesting from a story perspective. And Phil, we've talked about this a lot, especially with like Halo 3, which I adore. I don't remember a fucking thing about that story. I don't remember jack shit about that story. I remember the vibes. I remember the characters, the aesthetics, the gameplay, and the friends that we made along the way. Like, I enjoyed all of that. That really works for a game. And if you're going to adapt it, for me, Halo is this spectacle, and it should be a movie. It's very, very simple. The Last of Us and Fallout are such rich worlds and franchises that you can absolutely make those work into television shows. And I think that makes a lot of sense. Another good example would be like Resident Evil. They kept making movies of that. I think that would have worked better in television form. They did also try that. It didn't work, but that's beside the point. It could have been better, might have been better, especially during that era. And to your point, Phil, I think things are getting so much better for gaming adaptations that it has to be something good. Like, we're not just settling anymore. And I feel like what Halo was settling on the idea of bringing that adaptation to life. And I don't think that people resonated with that. I sure didn't. Would I like to see a movie in the future? Sure. I also somewhat feel like that ship has passed. There's been some bad taste left in people's mouths, especially with that show and everything leading up to it. I'm not really sure where the future of it goes from an adaptation standpoint. From a gaming standpoint, we don't even know where it's going to stand there, and that's its bread and butter. So I think Halo it's a shame, is how I feel hearing that news. It's just a shame to see that huge franchise in almost every area falter.
Yeah. Go ahead, Kory.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that is probably the greatest point to be made about this is, like, what a slap in the face. Because I've got friends who, you hear all these stories about, like, midnight releases and, like, how hyped they were about, playing these games, all these wonderful stories. I know people who've had the stands, the posters, like, stuff that you could only get from a GameStop, or special events, these people who would travel to do Halo related stuff. And it's like, that's cool. Again, like me personally, I don't get it, but I'm glad that there are those people out there that, like, this is the thing that they're passionate about. And yeah, to have forgotten that it ever existed and then get shot down so quickly. And it's like, what did you expect? Like, you tried nothing and now you're all out of options. It's not really an excuse anymore.
Yeah, we we got this show, and obviously it was a disaster. And for some reason, Eric, we just can't get Dave Bautista as Marcus Phoenix like we want. Just for some reason, in 2024, it still hasn't happened. He's begging to do it, and instead we get once again Master Chief's ass on Paramount Plus.
and again, Gears
and no Dave.
And Gears is so interesting because I feel like that could go either way. I feel like if done right, it could be a TV show, but it's also such a spectacle, it could be a movie. So like
Gears of War coming to Paramount Plus would be like, no.
No, and I mean until
Paramount Plus, the video game channel.
No. And until Fallout, we were concerned about the God of War announcement for Prime, which we still don't know how real that all is or what's happening. But again, it's such a weird place for video game adaptations. It feels like it's better than ever, but also it's so uncertain. Like, you know what my feeling is, Phil, about BioShock. It's another example. That's an adaptation I am fearful for, because it could work as a movie, I guess, but like I would much rather see that as a TV show. So sometimes things just go down a road and it can never recover because the wrong decision was made right at the beginning. So I think that's just what happened with Halo. Again, could have been this grand spectacle movie in pop culture, and it ended up on Paramount Plus as a 2-season pretty much miss.
Yep. And my favorite Halo story is Reach, and you know what? I've played through Reach, so I don't necessarily want to watch it. So, Eric, you know I'm on record of being a little bit of a snob in terms of video game storytelling, where, you know, if you're not going to play the game, then you simply don't get to access the story. But, you know, Reach, if I want to go do that, I can go play that on Game Pass, at least for right now. Who knows if that will change in the future. But, guys, great stories this month, as always, from our guest. This is where before we play our game, this is where we take some time to shout out any stories that maybe just missed the cut that you thought about bringing up. Eric last month had like 25.
I do
so
not.
I'm going to have him go last.
Yeah, I don't have that this
Dylan,
time,
Dylan, did you have any stories that just barely missed the cut that you thought about bringing up tonight?
I don't have any that barely missed the cut. The ones that I pulled in case somebody else talked about Xbox was that they are doing castings for the Sandman season 2. I really liked season 1 on Netflix, and I was like, oh, I'm glad they are. I don't remember seeing like that they were officially doing a season 2, so it's nice to see that. And then the One Piece live action is also filming, which I enjoyed the first season of that, because I didn't have to watch 300 episodes to get to that story. I just had to watch like
same
10.
thing,
Just like God intended.
same exact thing.
No, Phil, but you won't watch it at all. You won't even watch the live action.
Yeah, but Dylan got to.
Yeah.
So
that's 90% of the way there. You know.
As a friendly reminder, they are doing.
He's had the same experience as you.
No, he didn't. And as a friendly reminder,
Yeah.
they are doing the One Piece, which is going to be an anime adaptation that is shorter and more modern.
I'll watch that too.
Check it out.
The other things I pulled were Lithonia by Childish Gambino. That song came out, which if you haven't watched the music video, you should watch the music video for it.
Just startling.
And
the whole album is incredible. I have not gotten to watch the music video yet, though. I need to watch the whole thing.
You should with the lights out at 2 a.m.
Okay.
Yeah. And then also in the music realm, Ice Nine Kills, a band that I enjoy, crossed over with Real Big Fish, another band that I enjoy. And they released Walking on Sunshine. So that's a metal band and a ska band. So it worked way better than it should have. So those were kind of my stories there.
Crossovers, man. We just talked about it. Crossovers are going great. But to touch on, like I said, the Bando Stone album, the soundtrack in general is incredible. I've been listening to it nonstop for sure. I've heard that. I can't remember. Somebody in our friend group, Eric, has watched Sandman. It might be Jordan that has watched that on Netflix, but I've heard good things.
I've heard good things. Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Kory.
That
go ahead.
that band, Dylan, I looked up the song because I wanted to listen to it later. It's from the American Psycho comic series soundtrack. What is that?
Yep. I have no idea. Ice Nine Kills does a lot of like they take a lot of inspiration from like horror movies and that sort of thing. So they do get into like American Psycho is, I guess, part of their like thing. So I don't know if there's a comic book that has come out that also has an attached album. I didn't look that deep into it because I figured that was not a story that I was going to be talking about. But
yeah, I know Phil likes American Psycho, and if there's a horror relation there, that might be something for Philin, Phil. But yeah, sorry, I just saw it and I was alarmed.
Yeah, that would be an alarming thing to come across. Kory, what about you? What are some of those that you considered? I know you told me you had a couple of backups just in case.
Yeah, so he brought up music, and that actually reminded me something that's definitely worth checking out is Weird Al's new Polkamania song and music video. It's a joy. I love Weird Al. I've only been able to see him in concert once, but somewhere I still have the Dare to Be Stupid cassette tape from childhood. He's one of those that I have all of his CDs and listen to him pretty frequently. It's a lot of fun. This one's it goes back pretty far because he hasn't released music in a long time, and it does something. He covers a show tune, not show tune. It's from a Disney movie. And that's, I think, the first time that any of his polkas have ever covered something that wasn't like current or at least pop culture, like radio music. And then you mentioned crossovers, and I have not brought myself to watch this. It is on my watch later. But a week ago, Gwar released a music video for I'm Just Ken. And it's like every time I open YouTube, that's like within the first 6. And it's like, today's not the day, but I'm going to get to it. But on more interesting stuff, have any of y'all kept up even a little bit with what's been going on with Assassin's Creed Shadows? Okay.
A little bit, yeah. I've got like a general idea.
Apologies needed, yeah. Enough to start figuring out that it's just a mess.
So, yeah, some of it, one of the wildest things is, and this came back to I didn't realize it was still ongoing, again, until I watched the Skill Up video earlier, and he brought up even more facts that are going on with it. And I looked it up, and one of the first articles I find, published 6 hours ago, the Assassin's Creed Shadows debate somehow reaches Japanese government ministries, who reportedly remind everyone that historical fiction isn't really their concern at all.
What?
Yeah. So there's so much going on. One of the things that does make sense is they got flagged, or not flagged. They apparently in a trailer, Ubisoft used a flag made by a historical reenactment group, and they weren't too happy about that. So eventually Ubisoft acquiesced and removed that. And of course now people are complaining to the Japanese government about, this is fake. And, I'm sure we all remember that the events of every other Assassin's Creed game are extremely accurate to history, and there were no liberties taken whatsoever. Especially with the Egyptian one, we definitely have stone copies of that story. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it is like we're reaching levels of mind-blowing now at these people complaining. And God, of course, now I forget his name, but the Black Samurai.
Sasuke.
There you go. So, like, one of the complaints now is there's nothing that actually states historically that he was a samurai, which would make sense. That's a whole thing. And it's like, who cares? The less there is about it. Like, the more you can do with a guy, that the less you know about. You can't get anything wrong if there's nothing even there. Basically, we just know that he existed. And if you ever watch that anime on Netflix, you'll know that he hang out with robots and Jedi. So, historical accuracy. But yeah, I thought it was just a minor thing. Honestly, initially, I thought it was just like mostly just people with nothing better to do with their time but complain about a female, like a female main character, and then like a black Japanese guy in this game. And it's, now it's just taking so many more levels. It is like fascinating that this is getting so much notoriety, because this is honestly probably the only one I'm interested in. Like, I haven't played the others. Again, one of those, other people love it. That's great. If they're going to go to feudal Japan, and apparently Assassin's Creed does have pretty good assassination mechanics, as someone who to this day still longs for another Tenchu game that I'll never get, maybe this will be the next best step.
They've been begging Assassin's Creed to happen in Japan, and I'm sure they're now like, between the backlash about the characters and all the stuff leading up to today's conversation, I'm sure they're absolutely regretting that.
There is a PSP version of Assassin's Creed, I think, in Japan. They didn't complain about that one.
You mean the one in China?
Is it China or is it Japan?
I think there was a China.
Oh, okay.
That was
Not
racist,
sure.
Phil.
Well, I think
Weird smell side of rice.
I think there is like a
Wow.
I can say it. It's fine. Continue, Dylan.
My
I think
turn.
there is like a mobile game that's maybe Japan, but I don't. It doesn't shock me at all that a bunch of like basement dwelling gamers got upset because they were forced to play as a black man and a Asian woman. Like, it doesn't shock me. But yeah, it is one of those where it's just like, come on, guys, like, really?
I mean,
but
really,
now it's
my
reaching
favorite...
the Japanese government.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and
I mean,
it's probably not Japanese people calling the Japanese government. It's like,
right.
It's these people who are calling
like
up,
Jeff.
putting on their their best anime voice as they call up the Japanese government, and they're like, excuse me, did you know? And it's just like, shut the fuck up. Like,
everyone doing their best shitty walk impression.
Yeah.
And my favorite part of historical accuracy in Assassin's Creed is when Ezio fights a kraken in the underbelly of Rome.
Do you remember
don't
when
mess with
Ezio
history.
fought the magic pope? Like, remember?
Right. Yeah.
Like,
remember the apple? the apple, you guys. Think about the apple. So
all historically accurate.
yeah. Can't believe they're doing this too.
Mm-hmm.
To the franchise that we love. What happened to the game that I loved? As far as the stories that just barely missed the cut here, I had just some quick ones. Shrek 5 was announced. For those of us that are cultured, Eric, and have seen Puss in Boots: The Last Wish multiple times, we knew Shrek 5 was on the way, but for some reason, many people have skipped that film, even though it's one of the greatest animated films ever made. So don't skip out on The Last Wish before Shrek 5 comes out in 2026. I Know What You Did Last Summer, their reboot, announced a few of their stars. We do have some listeners that are big horror buffs, so interested to see what people think about that. Camila Mendes, I'm a big fan of. She's been in a couple solid films this year, and then Madeline Klein, who was in Glass Onion that last year. She's very good. And then, Eric, actually, I don't know if you saw this or not, but ex-EA devs have formed a new studio to develop a spiritual successor to NBA Street on using Unreal 5. It's going to be called The Run Got Next. As far as the style of the art style, it looks kind of similar, but obviously no NBA players, but it does look pretty interesting. It seems like they're going to focus on players that have like specific abilities, which I think could be interesting. It's going to come out on PS5, Xbox Series XS, and then also on Steam, and it's going to be out sometime next year. So that's a genre of sporting game that I know you very, very desperately miss. So I don't know if you heard about that one. So I'll throw that to you first.
Yeah, NBA Street, or even better, let's get FIFA Street back out there, dude. Oh, FIFA Street is so.
Don't care about soccer. Loved FIFA Street.
Love
man.
FIFA
Loved
Street, dude.
And NHL Hits. I'd like that back too.
Yeah, in basketball games, I'm more of an NBA Jam kind of guy. But you got that, the bigs. for baseball, and then Blitz for football. If I could just get those 4 mediums and then maybe find my niche for hockey, you got like the Trinity
NHL
there.
hits.
You got the Holy Grail.
Good.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I think that's awesome. And what was your first story?
Shrek 5, and then the other one was the I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Yeah,
reboot,
for Shrek 5, watch Puss in Boots. That's all I wanted to add to that.
Yeah, so those were our didn't make the cut stories, and now we'll move into
wow, you're just going to skip me completely. That's crazy.
Oh, that's right. You know what? Usually you have like 50,
no,
that might be why.
I have two quick ones. This was actually at the end of June that we didn't fit in, and I just think it's really sad, so I'm going to keep bringing it up. Apparently, the report is Helldivers 2 has lost about 90% of its player base.
Golly. Talk about it's July. We talked about it in February.
Yeah, it's God, dude, it's just really talking about like just really sad. We talked about RIP Redbox. We talked about how sad the Halo franchise is. This one hurts the most because I still really like when I jump on, have fun. I hopped on like a couple weeks ago just to play a game. Still fun. There's just no content. There's like nothing. They like stalled completely after the story that we had about the email and the PlayStation subscription thing. And some people in certain countries can't even get it. They just did not recover from the hole that PlayStation put them in. So just really sad news. On the opposite spectrum, Demon Slayer is ending with a movie trilogy. And I just think that's extremely interesting because this is an anime that I think is going to absolutely be game changer on the way it's approaching it. We talked about Attack on Titan and how I thought they should really be movies at the end. And I feel like although people enjoyed it, a lot of people felt like it dragged out way too long. And that kind of almost impacted those final seasons. I think Demon Slayer is making the right choice. And I'm going to put a bold prediction out there. I think each of these movies are going to break 1 billion worldwide. So that's going to be my hot take out there for Demon Slayer. And I think that's going to absolutely change the way that big franchises, maybe not just anime, but big anime franchises decide to finish things up and just start to take over those theaters. So, yeah, those are my 2 stories to finish it up.
Now, Eric, Mugen, because you've brought this up a few times now, Mugen Train made $507 million. So you think all 3 of those movies are going to double Mugen Train? Well, because it is the end of the series.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
yeah,
all 3 of them are. I think personally, if not all 3, one of them is hitting 1 billion. Maybe the final one. One of those movies is definitely hitting 1 billion. I think it's been long enough since Mugen Train that the appetite has grown. Because the movies they've released since have just been recap movies and the first episode of the next season, so you can't really count those. Mugen Train's the best example. And I just think that that's absolutely going to happen. I think it's so popular now. Kory, we were talking on the creator episode. All we see is Nezuko's and Zenitsu's and Tanjiro cosplays. Like, it's more popular now than ever. And I think with this latest season, especially that last episode, that's just going to continue.
It's like, to add to that, it's one that I like. Demon Slayer and Star Wars are like the family cosplays where it's like the parents and the kids are all dressing up from one title, which is mind-blowing to me. Yeah, I was looking up the player count though, just to see, because Steam has a lot of their charts. Like 24 hours, they're kind of averaging 30,000 players at any given time on Helldivers 2. But the first thing that I noticed is there's a shitload of people playing Stardew Valley. Far more. It's like 118,000 playing Stardew Valley over Helldivers 2.
And
great story, I hear.
At one point, it was
love
over.
that Stardew, man.
It was almost 500,000 players concurrently. Like, it's just the absolute drop off is insane. Absolutely insane. It's the jump at the start of the game was unheard of, and I think this complete downfall is also unheard of. It's just 2 ends of the spectrum, so crazy. Still a fun game, and I think it can still have life in the future. Dylan would definitely be curious what you think, but yeah, super sad, super sad.
I mean, I view it as, I mean, 30,000 is still a very healthy player base. You know, it doesn't sound like you were having any issues getting into games when you were jumping back in and stuff. And so the drop off is not shocking to me for a game that is that old, that isn't necessarily like a live service type of game that is constantly releasing new content. You know, I know the people that really enjoyed it want to see more content because like they really had fun with it and they want more to come out, and I'm sure more will be coming out. I mean, that was kind of it sounds like that's kind of what the plan is for it. And I know that they did some stuff with like Helldivers 1 that had a very long tail, so I'm sure it'll keep kind of trucking along. They'll keep adding some new stuff, maybe even some DLC down the road, and I'd expect, you know, big updates to have a huge jump in players again as people come back to the game. But I don't think games need to be something that is like a forever game, you know? Like I do think there are games like Kory brought up The Witcher 3. I know that is a forever game for my co-host where it'll always be installed and he's always kind of just playing around in it. So I know that there definitely are games that people keep playing and keep going back to. But I think as long as you're able to get into games, as long as, you know, it's maybe getting some new updates, it's not a dead game, you know? And there have been some big things that have come out. People have kind of shifted around, gone to other things. The thing I would be more worried about is if it was like, well, now we're not making any money, so we're just going to pull the plug, you know? And that's not the impression I've gotten from the developers of Helldivers 2. So I'm not as worried there. But, you know, something like Suicide Squad or, you know, some of these other games that have come out and tried to like have a success story like Helldivers and it didn't happen, and then they pulled the plug after just, you know, a few months. Like, that's a bummer. But I don't have the same fears for Helldivers just because Sony's backing it, and it reminds me of the Pal World guys. You guys brought that up earlier, where people were like, "Oh, Pal World was so big, and now it's a dead game." And the developer for Pal World was like, "I mean, if you've had fun with our game for like 20 hours, and you want to go play something else and come back later, eventually when we release some more stuff, like that's fine. We enjoy that, you know." And so I think that's kind of the mindset I have more so than worrying as much about Helldivers, just because, like, if we were talking like 5,000 players, if you were waiting 10 minutes to get into a game, I'd be a lot more worried about it. So, and I would imagine it's probably got a bigger player base on PlayStation too. But yeah.
It's such a fine line too when it comes to keeping players engaged and keeping them around. And Eric, you know, we joke about it all the time, but it's why we've been playing Fortnite for 7 years. You know, the game manages to reinvent itself once every couple of years, and there's nothing easier than texting a couple of our friends, jumping into a lobby, very rarely getting a victory royale. Recently, we've been getting destroyed, but we go in, get a win, and then hop back off.
I still need to download the Pirates of the Caribbean skin. I keep forgetting.
You better not miss it.
You need to get the Cybertruck, man. They just released that.
No, absolutely not.
It's the only one that. It's the only Cybertruck that works.
That's true. Well, we don't even know. We don't even know if it works in the game. So,
is it missing those side panels on the back that keep falling off of everything?
I actually heard you can't get out of it. You're actually stuck inside the car. So.
It just won't stop accelerating. The gas pedal gets
that would be funny though. That would be funny if they kept that mechanic.
Properly, if it was bugged out.
Yeah.
You hop in the car and it just like all the alarms go off and it stops. You know, 500 feet from where you started.
Elon goes on Twitter and says that Fortnite's a dead game after the car doesn't work in the game. Yeah, that would be perfect. All right. Sorry, Eric. Now I think we're good to jump into the game. And as if you guys don't know, if you're new here, or if you just need a little refresher, we always end with a game of, I mean, it's called Factile, the website, but it's Jeopardy. You guys know how Jeopardy works. Let me make sure that that the sound is off. I did good with the wheel, Eric. No sound effects tonight.
Very proud of you.
Doing pretty well. To our guest, can you see this? Do I need to make it a little bit bigger?
I can see it.
And if you need to minimize people in Riverside, it'll you do have that option if you hover over their face.
Yeah. If you want to make the game board a little bit bigger. So if you want to try that QR code or go to that website and then put in that number.
Oh, okay.
And you'll probably want to do this on your phone.
Yep.
And because your phone will have a buzzer, so you can buzz in.
Yep. It's just playfactile.com. And
/join.
/join. And while you guys are getting in, I'm going to figure out who my character is going to be, because this takes
Eric
me like
always
10 minutes.
picks his character last because it takes him too long to scroll through the cute little characters.
So
I mean, you have to look through all of them.
You don't. You don't. Don't encourage
There's
him, please.
so many. Oh, there's a meerkat. Yeah, I gotta go meerkat here. Look at the little cute dude.
No, yeah, that's pretty cute.
It's pretty cute.
It is pretty cute. It looks like he has a cape. Does he have a
I
cape
think
on? Is
so.
he a superhero?
I think so.
I think he's got a cape. I think he's a superhero.
He might have a cape.
No.
Super
Okay, well, I
funny.
think they might
Again,
all
this
have
is-
capes, so, I mean,
Oh, well, never mind, Eric. You're not special. For those, once again, as a reminder, for those of you that are on the listening side, this may be a good point to switch over to YouTube and watch. All right, who picked the squid?
that would be me.
All right. Dylan, you having any issues?
I typed it wrong at first, but I just got in.
Okay.
That's okay. Yeah.
Oh, okay, you just put Dylan. Okay, so I'll put in Dylan again. Dylan's the first person to pick a person. Everyone else always picks an animal or some kind of fruit or vegetable.
I felt like I had to go with the one that was named after me.
Named Dylan,
so,
yeah.
You know?
Yeah, all right, there we go. Okay, let's begin. So the way that we'll do this here for you, Kory and Dylan, you can buzz in whenever, but don't give an answer until I am done answering the question. So hopefully this will be the first time all participants are in the positives when it comes to Final Jeopardy. It's never happened. It has never happened.
I think that
I go
first
into
time.
these and I'm.
I think that first time we did, because I had that like really good.
Did
I
it?
had that big comeback, and then I
that big
lost
run
on the
at the
Ted
end.
Lasso question.
And you lost everything.
And
yeah,
ever since then, I've
so-
hated this fucking game.
yeah.
So
Kory,
obviously
do you know the
play it every
name, the
week.
original name of Jacksonville before it was Jacksonville?
Oh, so it's funny. I do. I do know that it was Cowford, because we also have, like, Cowford Chop House.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, Eric, that's in your neck of the woods. You're a Riverside guy, so you should have known.
Shut the fuck up.
You should have known from Cowford Chop House.
All right.
All right,
R.I.P.
folks,
Sunray.
here are our categories, and Dylan called this out early on.
Nice.
We have Monsterverse Madness, 360 Supremacy, We Should Start a
I don't know.
Podcast, and Pop Culture Mystery Bag,
Oh.
which is the Potent Potables category that will be around every single month now. So that could be anything that can be behind those. I will let you guys know, Kory and Dylan, if you didn't watch the video, Eric always goes 500 early.
Yeah,
So
cool.
if you don't want him to do that, don't relinquish the board to Eric. I'll just let you know. Does everybody see the buzzers on their screens? Everything good there?
Yes.
Yes.
Cool. I already spun. Oh, go
There's
ahead,
a
Eric.
daily double or no?
There is a daily double. I'll just have to point it out because I'm sure it's not going to work properly.
Okay.
Cool.
So let me just double check which one the daily double is. Okay, it's that one right there. That's what I thought. Cool. Let me turn off the music for myself. And I already spun a wheel off screen. So Kory, you actually get the board first. And if you want to kick us off.
Okay, I'll do Monsterverse Madness for 500.
Oh, Jesus Christ. So,
Take it away
Holy
from Eric.
crap.
Let's go.
all right. What is the name of the tribe that lives in
who
Hollow
the
Earth
fuck
in
would
the
know
Godzilla
that?
X
Oh my
Kong,
God.
the New Empire?
Oh yeah, because I still have to buzz in.
Kory,
Who are the Iwi tribe?
let's go.
That's crazy. That's crazy, dude. I just saw that movie this year. No fucking clue. I didn't even know they had
Did
it.
not remember.
Kory, still your board.
Okay, feeling good. I'm gonna, Monster Madness for 400.
Yeah,
All
he was
right.
gonna have this one.
What was King Ghidorah's code name in Godzilla, King of the Monsters? Kory.
Monster Zero. What is Monster Zero?
All right, Dylan, we're gonna be chilling for a little bit.
No, let me just clear the. Hey,
clear it out real
Dylan's
quick.
got 360 supremacy. Because my answer for all of those is going
Which
to be
one is
360.
mine? We should start a podcast.
Oh, I didn't give you
That's
one.
fucking crazy. Dude.
You're here all the time. Kory, your board.
300 Monsterverse Madness.
What are these creatures called from Kong Skull Island? Dylan.
Oh shit, he got it first.
Those are the skull. Oh fuck. The skull eaters. Skull. Fuck. Nope. What are the skull eaters?
No, Kory.
What are the skull crawlers?
Damn it.
That's crazy.
So close. So very close. All right. Kory, still your board.
200.
Godzilla and Kong team up to fight which threat at the end of Godzilla versus Kong? Kory.
What is Mecha Godzilla? Hey.
There you go. All right.
Yeah,
You wanna
we'll finish
wrap
it
up
off.
Monsterverse? All right. $100 question. What is the name of the actor whose character is unceremoniously killed off in Godzilla 2014, leaving us with Aaron Taylor Johnson? Eric.
That would be Bryan Cranston. And I've never forgiven them for this.
Imagine where we would be right now if we just had Bryan Cranston. I mean, it's already, almost perfect.
Would've-
But with Bryan Cranston
changed the
leading
game.
the way, it could have been
All right.
even better. All right, guys. Well, you let Eric get the board, so...
All right. Well,
It's over.
None of these are catered to me, so we're going pop culture mystery bag 500. So it's pretty.
All right, let's do it. Which movie won Best Picture at the 2022 Academy Awards?
Oh, are
don't
you
even know
fucking
what came
kidding me?
out.
Because I didn't know this until recently because of this. Because of what happened at the
man.
2022 Academy Awards.
And like if we're wrong, we lose it, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh
You
man.
have like 10,000 points, Kory. It doesn't matter. Although this is 500, to be
Oops.
fair.
Yeah.
Oh my god. This is going to be. You said it's not obvious?
No, I had never heard of this movie until the other day.
Then
All
yeah,
right.
no.
Any answers?
No.
No. Eric,
for
wanna give it a shot?
Not to lose 500, I'll keep control of the board.
All right. Coda,
Oh,
which
with
is an
the-
Apple
the
TV
deaf
film.
Kid.
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
I
Always those deaf
That
kids.
won Best Picture?
It did. It did. I was surprised as well. I watched a What Culture video, top 10 movies that were totally forgotten about, and this was number one.
I remember it won an award at the Oscars that was like controversial. I didn't know it was Best Picture. That's crazy.
I didn't either.
Wow.
I didn't either
Wow.
until recently.
Yeah.
So, Eric, back to you.
Yeah, Mystery Bag 400.
What was the name of Ross's pet monkey in the hit sitcom Friends?
Oh my god, it's on the tip of my fucking tongue, dude. Oh.
Eric?
Is it Marcel?
Good.
Oh.
Great.
Wow. All right.
It's Marcel. It's just
See, you're getting an idea.
Oh,
You're getting an idea of how
we're
this category is going to work. All right.
all right, cool.
Eric?
Yeah, Mystery Bag 300. Let's keep it going.
What? Okay, there's supposed to be a picture here.
No.
Hold on a second.
What is
I don't
Backstreet's
know where the
Back?
picture is.
Phil.
I definitely pasted the picture in.
Is it going to show up on our screen? There is a timer going. Does that matter?
Is it still going?
Yeah. 3, 2,
Oh
1.
God.
I feel like we should all
Zero.
get 300 points.
Oh no, it's not going to show up until I hit show answer.
Oh, interesting.
Okay. I gotta get this picture saved so that it doesn't show in the search history.
You don't want
Okay,
the
let's
FBI
see.
knowing you're interested in the Backstreet Boys.
Oh, no, they know. All right, here we go. Window, just a picture. God, I hope this doesn't... Oh, you know what? Let me... Hold on, one more thing. Because I saved the photo and it's in the name of the image.
Can't win.
Most casual episode that we do.
Cannot stress that enough.
Hold on a second.
And this is usually what happens. There usually is one image that's missing in somewhere in the board.
And it just totally ruins everything.
Yeah. There was one time where we were expecting a Chihuahua, and we had like a hockey game.
It was NHL Hits. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
NHL Hits. It was supposed to be the Taco Bell Chihuahua.
Yeah, it was tough.
All right.
Okay.
Let's hope this doesn't ruin. All right. What music video is this from? Ooh. Oh, Eric.
I want it that way.
Let me switch back.
I assume.
Oh, let me turn the music off. See, that would have been...
I was going to guess that regardless of the image, but I felt pretty good about it. Yeah.
There's a picture. All right, Eric, back to
Honestly,
you.
I would not have gotten it from that one, so I'm glad you didn't pick that one. I was like, why are they in black in front of a plane? The white was so obvious. Mystery bag 200.
What does Rapunzel use as a weapon against Flynn in Tangled? Dylan.
Frying pan.
There
we go.
All right, Dylan's board.
We're gonna do 360 supremacy for 300.
This is the daily double.
Boom.
So we'll do that. Gears of War introduced the world to the mid-range assault rifle with a fully operational chainsaw for a bayonet. What was the name of that weapon?
The Lancer, or the Chainsaw Lancer, or whatever you want to...
That works. I'll manually give you those extra points. 1, 2, 3. All right, Dylan, back to you.
We'll go 360 supremacy 500.
All right. What is the name of this vehicle that can be found in Halo 3's multiplayer? Bonus points if you can name the level it was originally found on. Dylan.
I believe that is the Elephant, is what it is called.
It's crazy.
And, it was like Sand Trap or something.
That's
Damn.
wild.
I'll give you 200 for that. All right.
Extra
back to you.
points?
We'll go with 360 supremacy for 400.
Sneaking, Big Bumpin', and Pocket Bike Racer were games released on the 360 via which fast food chain? Dylan.
Burger King.
Burger King. And Pocket Bike Racer was a really fun game.
My God. That is such a deep cut. Holy shit.
I'm shocked that wasn't the 500 one.
So, another one. Do any of you remember when Taco Bell released a couple of games? I swear they were on floppy disk, but
I think
they
so.
had games.
Very vaguely.
Yes.
Yeah,
very vaguely. Yep.
I remember a couple of those, and that's like I don't think I own any of those anymore, but I played them.
Yeah, Pocket Bike Racer, surprisingly, not a bad game. The other two were like, okay. Sneaking was just really strange. I guess you tried to like sneak around. For those of you that I'm going to put in a clip here, actually, I'm going to do a little extra work on Clip Champ and put in a sneaking clip for everybody to see because it was very. The premise of the game, for those of you that don't know, was the Burger King mascot would sneak around and put Whoppers in people's bags.
Oh my God!
So that was the premise of that game. So. And Big Bumpin' was not very good. And people were, when I worked at GameStop, were surprised these games didn't trade in for a lot of money. Go figure. So, should have just kept them. All right, Dylan, still your board.
360 supremacy 200.
What is the name of the discontinued line of motion sensing input devices produced by Microsoft and first released in 2010? I'll give you a $100 bonus if you give me the name of the game that was packaged with the device. Eric.
It's obviously the Kinect. Oh man, was it Just Dance?
No. But you'll get the 200. It was Kinect Adventures, which sadly is the highest selling Xbox 360 game of all time because it came with the Kinect. So
It checks out.
Yep.
Really bummed me out to see that in number 1 ahead of Grand Theft Auto 5 and like Halo and all these other games. So that made me sad.
That's crazy.
The Kinect, didn't work very well, but I still had one day one because I worked at GameStop, and I'll tell you that we had a blast with Just Dance, Dance Central, the sports one, Kinect Sports, and all that stuff. So it was pretty solid. It still just didn't beat a Wii remote, just didn't beat Wii Sports. Like you still couldn't beat that experience. So, but then I think later they started implementing the Kinect in like hospitals and stuff.
Yep.
So something good came out of it. So. Eric, back to you.
All right, let's go back to pop culture. Do 100, please.
Since you've been gone, this pop star was able to break away, and it's because of you, Dylan.
Damn.
Kelly Clarkson.
So fast, Dylan.
I'm just over here using my Mario Party skills.
All right, Dylan, do we want to go back to 360
Yeah, we'll
and
finish
wrap
that
that
one
up?
out.
All right. What was the original name of Microsoft's online multiplayer gaming and digital media delivery service created and operated specifically for the Xbox brand? It was rebranded in 2021. Oh, Dylan, sorry.
Oh.
I didn't.
Was
My
it?
bad.
Is it not Xbox Live? Is it? Yeah.
No, that's
okay.
it.
Okay.
Yeah, now it's Xbox. What is it now? Xbox.
They just
something
rolled
else,
it into like Xbox Game
which
Pass,
is dumb.
Yeah.
Just Game
so
Pass.
it will still be and forever be Xbox Live. So, all right. Well, everyone's been avoiding. We should start a podcast.
'Cause I feel like we don't know what the fuck that's gonna be.
Yeah, I know. It's too dangerous.
It's daunting.
Could be anything.
We're gonna do. We should start a podcast for 100.
This true crime podcast is ranked number 1 on Chartable's top 200, despite plagiarism allegations back in 2019. Dylan.
My favorite murder.
No.
Damn.
Oh,
Good guess, though.
I think I
It is in the top 10.
listened to this podcast before, but now I can't think of the name. If it's the one I'm thinking of, it's because it's shit. It's like it's questionable, so it's like, yeah, I'm not going to support this anymore. Yeah, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Eric, you want to give a guess? It's only 100.
No,
When over $100?
no, and I really hope these are not all. What
No, they're not all
okay.
like ranking.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, no, I'm
All
not
right.
gonna risk it.
Crime Junkie.
No way.
is
Okay,
the
I didn't know about the
podcast.
plagiarism
Yeah.
thing, but we do listen to them.
Yeah.
I'll have to look into that then.
Crime Junkie. All right. It was Dylan, right? Yeah, Dylan. Back to you still.
We'll go with 200.
Which podcast is hosted by Jenna Fisher and Angela Kinsey and recaps their time on an extremely popular sitcom? Eric.
Office Ladies. All right.
Hey,
Honestly, I
couldn't-
blanked on the name from the get go.
you just said the most obvious words.
That-
Office
Yeah.
ladies,
Office person.
people.
This is the first podcast where we started shitting on celebrities for starting podcasts because not all
it's
celebrities
so
should
bad.
do it. So
No,
Yeah.
it is so bad. I even stopped listening to fake doctors, real friends, because after a while you just can't listen to Zach Braff talk anymore. You can only do it so much before you get sick of hearing Zach Braff.
every
So,
sitcom
Eric.
has a podcast. I think we're all.
Yeah.
I don't know about Kory, but I think we're all in agreement. We're just going to go down the line because I don't know what these are. So I'm going to go 300
Yeah.
here. Yeah.
Just keep going.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. What is the name of the longest running annual in-person podcasting conference in the world? Eric.
Podfest. Whew.
Oh yeah, that's right. I haven't been to one yet.
I was like, I really hope that's it.
Yeah, it's the only one I know.
It's the only one I know, so it's a good guess. There's like Pod Movement. Is that a
Oh yeah,
thing?
that would.
Pod-
Yeah, pod movement.
Yeah. All right, Eric, 400.
Yeah.
This podcast, produced by the New York Times, releases an episode every weekday with a runtime with a runtime. That'd make it a lot more interesting and less depressing. Runtime typically between 20 to 30 minutes.
Produced by the New York Times.
I know this, but I can't think of the name.
There is like a hint. There is like a hint, like in this in the question. It kind of gives
Is
away,
it a
that gives
Wordle
away the name, but
podcast?
like
No. Okay. Well, then I can't. I can't guess this one.
It's hold on. Oh man, because I can't
guys a
get
couple
all
more
of it.
seconds.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I can't guess.
Dylan, any guess?
No.
No, okay. It is the daily.
Oh, okay. That's not what I'm thinking of.
All right. Eric, this is, here we go. Name one of the two microphones that Buzzsprout does not recommend a first-time podcaster use. I'll give you a bonus if you can name both microphones. Eric.
All right, definitely the Blue Yeti. They fucking hate that thing. And the other that they don't recommend using, honestly, I can't think of it. No, but definitely the Blue Yeti.
Okay.
I'm going to assume, the Snowball Ice.
the
Okay,
Snowball
that
Ice,
makes sense.
Yep.
Both
Yep,
by Blue,
so-
yeah.
I figured it was another blue one. I just couldn't think of the name.
Yeah. So, for all you podcasters out there, no Blue Yeti, no Snowball, even though Eric and I shared a Blue Yeti for about a year.
And then had our own Blue Yetis.
And then had our own. Yeah, so, well, look at that, guys. We did it.
Wow.
Everyone in the positives.
Eric actually
I
won.
feel good.
That's pretty good.
I feel good. What did we think of the? Eric, I guess Eric, I'll get your feedback. What did we think of the pop culture grab bag?
That was good.
There.
That was good.
Yeah,
Again,
okay,
I feel like I overcame the odds to get to this point. So I don't know what you did for the final Jeopardy. So again, if this is a Ted Lasso question, I'm gonna fucking flip. I'm gonna flip.
It's a Cowford question.
Oh fucking hell, dude!
Calvert.
Which Dylan wouldn't know either. But yeah, put in your bids on your phone there, and then what you're gonna do?
Wager. Oh yeah.
Yeah, what you're gonna do, so that way we're not. I can get your answers individually sent to me. Is just text me your answer. So Dylan, send it to me on Discord, Kory, Instagram, Eric. You know what to do. So yeah, that way I can get everybody's answers.
And the question will pop up momentarily.
Yep. Once I hit, once everyone has entered a wager.
For reference, we like to just let everybody know off the bat. I always wager everything, so
Okay.
just prepare.
Kory, you have to wager on the website on the
Okay.
app, on the
Well,
website.
you said. Well, you were saying
not
messaging
message
through
me
other-
your answer to the question.
Oh, that
I
one.
haven't put the question up yet. Yeah. I just got a
Wait.
text from Kory that said 700, and I was like, no, I don't need that part.
Hold on.
Are you able to wager on the website?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. Yeah,
Because
do that.
I'm not gonna end. I don't want to go in a negative because that's what we're aiming to not do this time. Which Eric is just like F it.
Well, Eric's gonna end it.
Yeah, I'm a
0.
criminal.
Okay.
Okay, there we go. Okay, I see what
All
you're
right,
saying
here
now.
we go. Yeah. I was like 700.
Shut
How do
up,
you know the
Phil.
answer? All right, here we go. Final Jeopardy. Before getting their own show, Kenan Thompson and Kel Mitchell were cast members on which show?
Oh my God.
We got 20 seconds, so got some time. That's
Oh my God.
On, oh well, there'll be background music anyway. the podcast version, never mind, or the audio version.
Okay.
All
Time's
right.
up. I know. I'm sure I'm wrong, but
Okay. Dylan, did you send me an answer?
Yeah, on Discord.
Okay, cool. Yeah, sometimes Discord gives me a notification, sometimes it does not. Okay. All right, let's display wages. Of course, Eric bet it all. Dylan, 1,600, and Kory, 700. Everyone was
Okay.
correct
all right.
with all that. And let's reveal. We'll continue, which means the winner for the second month in a row is Eric.
That's right. They not like us. They not like us.
Oh, great job, everyone. Super proud of this group. Once again, this was the first time we've all been in the positives. And well, I felt like those questions, I felt like I struck a pretty good balance with the questions. I knew the podcast one, people were going to be like, what the fuck is going to happen here?
I'm so worried.
So scared.
Yeah, that one was interesting to research for. But, Eric, we did it. Another successful episode of What Did I Miss? This was a whole lot of fun. Dylan, Kory, thank you guys so much for joining us. So, Dylan, we'll throw it to you first. Please let us know what you're up to, as well as Friendly Neighborhood Gamers. And for anybody that is new to the podcast, let them know where they can find all of your work.
Sure. So we do a podcast called Your Friendly Neighborhood Gamers. It comes out weekly on Mondays, where we dive into video game topics. So sometimes that'll be just like a generic, not generic, but like a more in-depth, broad topic. Like recently we talked about video game genres and like the meaning behind them, and if there are too many and if people get too uptight about them. We also do kind of like a little check-in each week or each month, where we just kind of talk about some of the games that we've been playing that aren't going to get like a full dedicated episode. We do deep dives into some of the games that are ones we really enjoy that we want to spend, like an hour and a half talking about. And then we have interviews. So if you're looking for an episode to get into, we've had Phil and Eric on and talked to them about sort of their gaming history and about what they do and just the process of creating, wait for it, and all of that. And so that might be one to jump into if you're interested, if you've got room in your life for another podcast. Maybe check that one out. We have a YouTube channel where we release videos, and you can get our podcast there too, because apparently that's like a big place to get podcasts now. On there we have I think it's a podcast as well, but we have a fantasy critic league, which is basically we all take on the role of like video game publishers. It's kind of like fantasy football, where we drafted at the beginning of the year 6 games that we hoped were going to do well, and over the course of the year we've picked up some other games that we also hope are going to do well. Not all of them have, but we get points based on how well critically they score, and so we just recently did an update on that, where we got Phil, Eric, some of our other friends together to kind of update, talk strategy, talk smack, and just have a good time. And so that's where you can find us. It's Your Friendly Neighborhood Gamers on YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. And we are on some social media as well, mostly Instagram and TikTok is where we are on that. I think we are technically on Twitter, but I have nothing to do with that side of things. So, yeah.
Yeah, Fantasy Critic League that I recently moved into last place on. So
solid. There's still time.
It's going great. There is still time. And if you have just recently listened to our Sea of Thieves episode, we linked the Friendly Neighborhood Gamers YouTube video on that episode. So if you still are trying to figure out if that's a game for you, make sure to check out that video. And every Game Room Where It Happens episode does have that episode linked, where Dylan just mentioned that Eric and I showed up on. So you can find it very easily there. Kory, again, you were here very recently, but please, once again, remind our audience. And also, thank you for sending a friend of yours or a listener of yours our way, who very recently left a very sweet review. I think it was on Apple Podcasts, Eric, or Spotify, one of the two. And we want to thank you for helping us, grow our audience. So please let us return the favor and let everybody know where they can find your work.
Yeah, so you can find my podcast on any podcatcher of choice by searching The World is My Burrito. And then on social media, that would be Twimby Podcast. Right now I am working on an episode that's covering the anime and manga for Terraformars. And also, because it's a deep topic, I'm already starting on my larger October episode. I'm reading one of I think 4 books that I have planned to read between now and then. So you can find me there. I do submissions on another podcast called Podcasters Assemble, which right now is covering the Studio Ghibli movies. Slowly, but it's still happening. We just did Princess Mononoke, so Spirited Away is the next one that's going to be coming out. And I have a lot of editing to do because I took on... Nobody wanted to cover Grave of the Fireflies. Who knew? No one would want to talk about that movie. So I managed to coerce a few people in different time zones. So I had 2 separate interviews on the same day. I think I had to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning to get 2 of them. And then the next interview was 8 hours later. So I have to splice it together to make it sound like one episode. But yeah, so that's on Podcasters Assemble. But yeah, and then other than that, I was featured here like a month ago. And then on the, I did my best to try to make sure that I was signed up on Patreon before the Ultraman Rising episode. And because of things I can't control, my name didn't get mentioned. And I'm not bitter about that. I'm not saying that Eric could have done a better job. But it wasn't under my control that I did the test run.
For the record, you were on a free trial, sir. I didn't know.
I didn't know that. I was like, okay, whatever. Like, it didn't give me the option to not do a free trial. So I was like...
That was my bad. I'm so sorry.
No, when it got to that point, because I was like, yeah, I'm going to hear it. And then you were like, and a couple of other people, maybe. And I was like, that son of a bitch.
Phil, can we go back and edit it, please?
Nope. That's your part. You're in charge of that little portion. It's like I'm a part of a content creator. They're a Jurassic World Evolution content creator, and I'm part of her community. So at the very end of the video, I just look for the one. I just scroll through the video to get to the one part that says "Phil the Filipino." I'm like, nice. There goes my $3. There goes my $3 a month. It was all worth it. And you deprived him of that, Eric. You deprived him of his name.
And I could have done it because it was the Ultraman episode. Now that I kind of think about it, timing wise, it would have been
the perfect time to do it.
That all makes a lot of sense. Okay, so just to prepare you, the episode that comes out on the final day of July, we recorded that before you were a patron. So before you listen to that one,
you're gonna listen to me like, what the fuck, man?
Where is my money going?
But I swear that that's not gonna be an issue.
You're gonna have to edit in the Stephen Hawking and Kory.
And Kory, thank you,
Kory.
Oh shit!
Oh man,
that's crazy.
Ooh, all right. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming on. We know this is always a little bit of a longer episode, and with the game and then all the stories, we appreciate your patience, and thank you so much for coming on. We hope that you'll come back as we want to continue to rotate guests in and out. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and sorry Eric won the game. I always try and rig it against him, but he won again. Unfortunately, I'll change it up. More Monsterverse questions in the future when you guys return, and we'll go from there. But thank you guys all so much for checking out this episode, the bonus episode of What Did I Miss? And as I mentioned in the very beginning of the episode, typically these are a lot more structured, but this is our bonus episode, very casual, get a chance to hang out with friends. So if you want to find the rest of that content, make sure you click the Linktree link in the show notes of this episode. You'll find all the rest of our episodes on pretty much any podcasting site that you want to choose from. You'll also find our social media pages. The most important one is to keep up with it being Instagram, TikTok, our growing Discord page, as well as Twitch, where we typically stream every Thursday night, unless there is like a big movie that we are covering for the sake of social media. You can also support the podcast a couple of ways. You can head on over to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever it may be. Leave a 5-star review. That would be very beneficial to not only us, but also the world is my burrito, as well as Friendly Neighborhood Gamers. Those 5 stars are the lifeblood of podcasting and really help us out. You can also head on over to YouTube, hit the subscribe button, follow, turn on alerts, all that stuff goes a very, very long way. And if you want to get some perks that Kory is supposed to be getting, but has maybe sometimes not been getting, Eric will let you know how you can do that.
Yeah, so we have we have our Patreon set up, and we are very grateful for the several members that we have on there, including Kory and other patrons like T3 Kados, Stefan, and Breyer. And they are supposed to be getting behind-the-scenes access, early access, and shout-outs at the end of each episode, depending on their tier. Kory is in that tier now, and we'll have to find a way to make it up to him the next time we see him for the blunders that have been made. But if you join our Patreon, we have a lot of exclusive perks and a lot of cool things that you can do. We're also looking to grow that platform as our members grow. So again, that's part of that journey. We really want to start promoting more on that platform and doing a little bit more as the year continues. With that being said, though, we know everyone's not in the position to do that. So the likes, the comments, the shares, all of the engagement, and just the listen is very much appreciated. With that being said, my name is Mr. Eric Almighty. That is Phil the Filipino and our guests Kory and Dylan. Thanks for listening to the Wait For It podcast. We release new episodes every Wednesday with bonus content on platforms like TikTok and Twitch, and all you have to do is wait for it.
So, I heard you're looking for a go-to source for entertainment.
Wait for it.
Gaming?
Wait for it.
Anime?
Plus Ultra!
Mr. Eric Almighty and Phil the Filipino? Yeah, they've got you covered. And all you gotta do is wait for it. This is the Wait For It podcast.